Today I am talking travel, and I am talking to a travel expert that is now in a beautiful location in Bali, and we're going to touch on that. But welcome, Penny Watson. How are you, Penny?
Hello, Caroline. Lovely, lovely, lovely to be here with you today.
Extra lovely to be talking to you. And as I, said, you're located in Bali, and you've been living there for since the pandemic, the mid-pandemic.
Mid-pandemic, it's gone on about 2 years and 3 months now we've been here. Yes, so we pivoted, as was the word back then.
You were lucky. You got out just at the right time, I believe, too, out of Melbourne.
I feel we did, yeah.
Yeah. So, and obviously today we're going to be discussing, and I'm really excited because I just got your latest book. This is number 5 now, is that correct?
Number 6.
Number
actually.
6, correction.
Yes. It's hard to believe myself.
Well,
yeah,
I know. Well, I'm so pleased. This is obviously Hardy Grant publication, and I only got this last night, and I have had a look, and this is Wilderness, the most sensational natural places on earth. And I tell you what, it's congratulations. It's quite spectacular with the images that I have seen, and some of these locations that take you globally. I just applaud you because my first question to you is, what inspired you to write it, and and what can we discover more from you telling us of these 40 locations that you picked, and how did you pick them?
Well, so it really was born of the pandemic, that book. So without wanting to go back there really at all, because everyone's so sick of it. My family and I were in lockdown in Melbourne, and homeschooling. Husband had taken up the spare bedroom as his office. 2 hours we were allowed out each day. All that kind of thing that everybody did and everybody put up with. But we thought we would move to Bali. That when it was all finished, that was our thing. It was like, when this is over, it has to mean something, and we'll move to Bali. But of course, we just planned it, and by the time we set a date to come, the pandemic wasn't over, and by then we were just out anyway. We were just like, we're out of here, whatever way we can do it. And then that was just an incredible immersion. I mean, Bali is an amazing place for its natural world, and its sort of looking inside, and its spirituality, and really coming here and putting my kids were in the Green School, which is a school in the jungle that has a sustainably led curriculum, and really all these things just came together. My headspace was just wilderness and the outdoors, and helping the planet and saving these beautiful places for our kids, and helping people appreciate them. So I really wanted the book to be it's a travel title, and it's by Hardy Grant Explore, the publishers, but also really there's an underlying layer there of just just how we should appreciate them, how we can help them, and their future. So I really hope that comes across. It's not about just going to these places and ruining them. A lot of the time it's about appreciating them, and through having these amazing experiences in natural places, then we're all a little bit closer to helping save the planet, I hope.
Well, I tell you what, in your introduction, which I obviously have read, it really describes your feelings about, you know, the whole book, and you know, and a lot of what you've just expressed there, and it, you know, there's just the ending. I'd like to read this, Penny. You know, wilderness is not a guidebook, more a jumping off point for your own curiosity, interest and intrigue. Whether these wilderness destinations spark a flight of fancy or an urge to travel or not, they will give you an appreciation of nature as its most poignant, and most importantly of all, I think, a willingness to protect it. It's all we've got. Well said.
Oh, that was a lovely little part to pull out. Thank you, Caroline. Yeah, that really does say it, those few lines.
It does.
Yeah.
That really stood out for me. And, you know, and everything else that you've, you know, as I said, you've expressed in your intro. And, you know, and then you go on, you know, and look, obviously there is a lot of travel books that, you know, pick all sorts of different locations. But I've got to say, yeah, it's beautiful. You know, the first one, obviously going to Canada in Churchill, you know, and even here, when I visited a few years ago, I had a passport stamped in blue ink polar bear in a little white person post office. It was unofficial but possibly considered a defacement of a legal document, but it's proudly recognised the achievement of getting to the frontier territory. How gorgeous is that?
It did feel like that. That was a mad place. And when I went up to Churchill in Canada, you know, it was to see the polar bears, and it was over 10 years ago, that trip, and of course everything's sort of changed since then. Yes. So it's really special now to be able to talk about it and to sort of given what we know about the plight of the polar bears and the ice tundras and what's going on up there.
Yeah,
yeah, it really is a frontier place. You really do feel like you're travelling up there.
It must be, you know, and there was another one there, you know, obviously visiting the tallest trees, the sequoias in, you know, USA has got some of the most incredible backyards.
Amazing.
Haven't they? Oh, you know, and this is what I love, you know, the Redwood National State Parks. I just want to go there now. And just that winding road.
Just tree hug.
Oh, isn't it? It is a tree hug. I'm a tree hugger, by the way.
Yeah.
If I go to the woods, that's where I go.
Loud and proud.
Absolutely. So, you know, that's, you know, those, you know, amazing destinations, you know, I can only imagine that, you know, people are just dying to still, you know, obviously get out and travel. And there's a buzz at the moment. Everyone I know is overseas at the moment. They're either in Greece or Italy at this stage, or exploring a lot of the Asian countries, which, you know, there are so many amazing, you know, locations there. But do you have a favourite, Penny, or, you know, or something that, you know, obviously fills your soul that you want to go back to?
So I'll tell you a little story. It's very dramatic.
Ooh, I love drama.
So, I know. It happens. So last year, living in Bali, I managed to contract dengue fever and COVID at the same time. So I did one of those horror hospital stays where I was sort of like in a isolation room and didn't see anyone for a week.
Yeah.
And it was obviously tough on me, on my health, and tough on the family. But within a few days of getting out of hospital, we had a trip planned to Raja Ampat, which is up in the northern archipelago of Indonesia and Papua New Guinea. And this is just been a bucket list on mine forever. Like if you ever, as a travel writer, trying to get on a trip, like the trip you want to do, it's on these Phoenici sailboats in these Indonesian waters, those old traditional Boogie made boats that still sail around with their sails up and looking magnificent. And it's usually, you know, it will only be the editor of, you know, amazing, you know, CNN Traveller or one of those amazing magazines that will get an invitation on that. You just never do. However, in during lockdown, of course, all the prices on all these trips dropped. So we were living in Bali, and there was a couple of people who owned boats up there who were just looking to fill them, and they were sort of doing them at cost price. And it was still the kind of trip that we would, you know, balk at paying for so much money. It was still the most expensive trip we've ever done, but it was easily half price. And within 3 days of being out of hospital with the dengue, we were up in this incredible paradise, like nothing you could ever imagine still exists on Earth, and that's Raja Ampat. And we went with a couple of families, and we stayed on this beautiful old boat for a week. And we sailed around, stopping at tiny little sand islands and scuba diving off the boat and sinking into the most incredible marine life. And, you know, you can't imagine that kind of diversity is still exists today. And it was incredible, really, really incredible. It's kind of every day was like a magazine cover, travel magazine cover. Was just incredible. So that was last year, and it's fresh in my mind. But I have to say, if you're looking for a bucket list trip, Raja Ampat should be on it.
Okay, Raja, which is in the book as well.
Yeah. So that's easily one of the best trips I've ever done.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. That goes on my bucket list now. It just sounds sensational.
Start saving, Caroline.
Okay. Do I need to sell a liver?
I know I'll never be back there.
Okay. Oh, I will. I'll either dream about it, which, you know, that's what travel can be. Sometimes we can dream about it.
That's just a bit of armchair travel. I've gifted you that.
Yeah. Okay. All right then. Oh boy. So, you know, I'm curious. Also, I'm just going to go off the book a little bit, because your children, you mentioned, are in a green school. And I would just love to hear, you know, how that is working for the children, the adjustment to obviously moving to Bali, and, you know, and this green school, which I'd never heard of until you obviously had told me about it.
So the green school it's one of those places where you go, what? That sounds a bit hippie or something, whatever, and then you like read about it in the Financial Times kind of thing. It's a pretty game-changing international school that was set up about 12 years ago by a very well-known guy in Bali, John Hardy. And from the beginning, it set out to teach kids about sustainability and to live sustainably. So the whole campus is built pretty much with bamboo. All the buildings are bamboo, and when I came across it, I was actually living in Hong Kong at the time, and I saw this an article on this school that had been built. And it caught my eye because the buildings were so incredible. I thought it was some amazing resort or retreat that I needed to get myself to, but actually it was this school. Yeah. And it took us about, 7 or 8 years. We always talked about how amazing that would be. But it took us to be in lockdown to actually think of it and go, you know what, the kids have been homeschooled for 18 months, and they just need outdoors. They don't need walls. They don't need...
Yes.
They need to be in nature.
Yeah.
Where we lived in Melbourne is very inner city. We don't really have horizon lines from our house. It's very urban, very gritty, and the difference here in Bali and this school that they're in is just incredible. It really is in the middle of a jungle, and within the first week of school, they were swimming in, mud. They have mud pit fights, and they climb coconut trees, and they, go on explorations through the jungle, and all the time they're using maths and science and English in building things to make things sustainably, whether that's sort of like, biopores and hydrology systems, or making gardens, or it's all the curriculum is kind of interwoven into these physical hands-on nature projects.
How amazing.
So, yeah.
How old are the children?
It's amazing. I mean, people sort of can't quite get their heads around it. It's its own curriculum, so it doesn't sit in an IB but it's still an international school. And the kids are when we came here, they were grade 2 and grade 6.
Yeah.
And they hadn't been at school for 18 months. So they were...
They've grown leaps and bounds, I bet.
Yeah, now they... now I have a teenager. I have a teenager, a grade 8 and grade 4 now. And they still love it. That's why we're still here, pretty much. Bali's amazing, of course, as well. Yeah. But if your kids are enjoying school, that's almost the top of the food chain. You have to just roll with that until they stop. But they really are. They talk about loving school and loving school every day.
Yeah. What an incredible opportunity you've given your children, and and obviously as a family, this is an incredible way for all of you to grow. And do you pinch yourself sometimes, Penny, do you feel like you're living the dream?
I do, Caroline. I have to say, before you mentioned we'd talk about some of the challenges, I thought, I don't have that many challenges. I'm in a state of gratitude most of the time. Yeah. Apart from a couple of stints in hospital over here, I feel like we're living very full lives, and I feel like that we're also able to give back, and and just live a little bit more sustainably over here, and just have a little bit more of a broader view on what life should be about, really.
Yeah. Penny, it's just been amazing talking to you today. And on this note, again, I'm just so excited about this book. It's out on Hardy Grant right now and can be purchased at all leading bookstores. Highly recommended. Get it, folks. It's just beautiful. It just truly is a beautiful book. And Penny, congratulations. It's just been a joy to speak with you today again. And I can't wait on your next journey. Which is there a next one that you could tell us about now? No?
No plans, Caroline.
No plans?
My husband would kill me. Thank you. I've had a lovely chat today.
Thanks too.
For having me.
Oh, thank you. It's been absolutely a pleasure. And if I get to Bali, I'm coming to visit you.
Yes, please. Okay. Come and visit.
Okay. All right. Thanks again. Wilderness, folks. Go get it.